Morning everybody. Lots of great conversations that have been happening this morning. What I want us to think a little bit about is the shared teaching and learning language that you have in your schools and trusts. And by that word shared, I want you to really think about that idea of shared. Is it just on paper? Is it written down? Does it look really great in terms of how it's shared? Or do all of the staff truly understand that language of the teaching and learning within your schools? Because what we've sort of learned through the walkthroughs is that when we go into schools, it's quite often, we do this technique, or we do this, or we look at that. But actually, the staff's understanding of those techniques, the language that they're using, and that's really, really pivotal and really, really important. Now, why that's really, really important is for us to think about if you've got a really, truly shared teaching and learning language, it should have massive impact on the students, because as they move from class to class, they should have an experience that is joined up, that is cohesive, so that what they're getting from teacher to teacher, they're getting that teacher's personality and who they are, but they're getting their cohesive experience of teaching and learning. In terms of teams, imagine as trusts, you've got different primaries, different secondary schools that are collaborating, that are working together. If we've got a really truly shared teaching and learning language, that collaboration will be stronger and more powerful, because everybody will be able to have those really joined up conversations using that shared language. And ultimately, it's going to make our schools better places, because I think, like I said yesterday, we're there to make a difference to young people's lives. And actually what makes the greatest difference is having a truly great teacher in front of our children. And obviously we've got to continue to develop those teachers and really think about elite sports stars. When they go to their coaches, they would never say, I'm not going to practice this technique, or I'm not going to do that, because it's their bread and butter. And it's the same in teaching, our questioning, our modelling, our scaffolding. It's really important that we practice it all of the time. We're all faced with a number of challenges and problems, and the teaching and learning language in your school should deal with those problems. And it's really important that staff are part of developing that and understanding that language. I'm sure all of you can agree, those 4 elements there on the left-hand side, all teachers use those elements. But actually, take scaffolding for instance. What's fascinating at times is to say that this is the way we do scaffolding here, but then what you see in practice is completely different. And what you get from conversations with teachers, teaching assistants, is they've made little tweaks, little adaptations. They've not quite understood something. They've heard it from somebody else that we need to look at it this way. So that shared language is really, really important. And I want you to think about in your schools and trusts, how often and regular do we keep going back to our shared language, so that actually our teachers and our teaching assistants know all the nuances about all the techniques and the different things that we use. And I suppose what that almost leads us to is this core idea. The message that we send, is that the message that's received on the shop floor? Because what we've found through the walkthroughs at times is what people think is going on or happening, in reality, it's actually really different. And that's due to the shared language and actually people's understanding of that. And I suppose, as an example, what I'd say to you is, you may have techniques, so you can see there's techniques there to those different learning problems that we might have. But if we've got those techniques, do people truly understand the steps in those techniques? That's what the walkthroughs provides. It provides those 5-step guides. And actually, do our teachers in our schools, whatever techniques we've chosen, do they understand exactly what it looks like? Because actually the nuances in those techniques are what are really, really powerful and what make the difference. So I think it's really important when you're thinking about your shared language that staff understand the techniques they're using, what are the definitions of them, why are they using them, and we used that word yesterday, intentionality. How intentional are your teachers when they're checking for understanding in the techniques that they use, where they place them in the lesson? Are they using them because they're waiting for someone to come in and see that, or are they using them because in that lesson that's truly the exact moment to check for understanding in that way? So it's all about that positioning of those techniques and that language that we'll use. So again, I'd just say to reflect on that idea, your shared language within your settings, is it truly lived and breathed? So that's what the students experience, so that's what your teams in your trusts are able to utilise, and actually is your shared language having the biggest impact on your trust and school as it possibly can do. Thank you.